Hello, everyone. As we've been reading The Hate You Give, the idea of identity, the theme of identity has been throughout from, chapter one when Star comes in and feels out of place, but also talks about how she feels out of place at Williamson. And then as she grows to start to discover who she is, we're seeing this week in chapter 20 how Khalil's represented and his personal identity, the picture the news shows, versus the person the Star knew he was, and how different people's perspectives will interpret those photos to fit their own needs. So we're reading a poem today called Identity by Julio, Noboa, Polanco. And I have a quotation here by Ralph Waldo Emerson. It says, "What is a weed? A plant. Its virtues have not yet been discovered." And we can see this a lot in Star too. So let's go ahead and read the poem together and break it down a little bit. Identity. Let them be as flowers, always watered, fed, guarded, admired, but harnessed to a part of dirt. I'd rather be a tall, ugly weed, clinging on cliffs like an eagle, wind wavering above high, jagged rocks, to have broken through the surface of stone, to live, to feel exposed to the madness of the vast eternal sky, to be swayed by the breezes of an ancient sea, carrying my soul, my seed, beyond the mountains of time or into the abyss of the bizarre. I'd rather be unseen, and if then shunned by everyone, than to be a pleasant smelling flower growing in clusters in the fertile valley, where they're praised, handled, and plucked by greedy human hands. I'd rather smell of musty green stench than of a sweet, fragrant lilac. If I could stand alone, strong and free, I'd rather be a tall, ugly weed. So let's look at this a little closer. Our first stanza says, "Let them be as flowers, always watered, fed, guarded, admired, but harnessed in a pot of dirt," much like the one we see here. There's beautiful flowers, and they're potted and they're cared for. But the author says, "I'd rather be a tall, ugly weed, clinging on cliffs like an eagle, wind wavering of high, jagged rocks." And think about those two images, right? Well, we have one that is beautiful and taken care of and admired. It's harnessed, right? It's kept in a pot. Or this one, not considered beautiful, but it's, blowing the breeze, has all the space, right? So let's look at this. So what's the author's perspective? Let's look at that first. If we look at the author's word choice, specifically in how he begins stanzas 1, 2, 4, and 5, we see "let them" in stanza 1. It indicates that, you can do, what you want to do. We say this and then we'll let them do it. And that usually indicates I don't want to do it, but, let them do it. They can do what they want to do. So let them be as flowers if they wish, right? And the them is, of course, who? Like other people. If you want to be beautiful, if you want to be admired, but kind of, in a kept in one place, then go ahead. And we see in stanzas 2, 4, and 5, he begins with "I'd rather." This is another way of saying I prefer. So I prefer to be a tall, ugly weed. I prefer to be unseen and then shunned by everyone. I prefer the smell of musty green stench instead of having a sweet smell. So we see that the author's actually just telling us what they feel. I prefer to be an ugly weed that smells and nobody cares about or wants to be around, or I'll push away. And we'd have to ask ourselves why. So notice in stanza 3, we see the language "to have broken through the surface of stone." Now this kind of evokes a similar image to "The Rose That Grew in Concrete" by Tupac Shakur. I'm not saying this is a purposeful allusion on either poem, because I don't know. But it certainly does make me see that rose growing feet and breaking out. So we have this beautiful flower, right? But it chooses not to stay. But it does grow in this kind of harsh environment. We see the desire to be free here. In stanza 4, he uses the phrase, by greedy human hands, right? I would rather be shunned than to be pleasant smelling flower growing in clusters in a fertile valley where their prey is handled and plucked. So think about what happens to a flower after you pick it, right? How long does it live, right? And so our author sees that. And let's see here, back to stanza 3. To live, to feel exposed to the madness. Well, that doesn't sound very good. Of the vast eternal sky. But we see this openness that is the complete opposite of this pot of dirt. Carry my soul, my sea, to be swayed by the breezes of the ancient sea. So we see this weed connected with history, connected with the planet, carrying my soul, my sea, beyond the mountains of time, into the abyss of the bizarre. Well, right, that I have this freedom in things that maybe other people may judge, but that's where I'd rather be. And here I could stand alone, strong and free. And this is where we really see that perspective come through. I'd rather be a tall, ugly weed. So why would I rather be a weed? It's this whole idea of freedom and being connected and seeing things that are different. Because think about it, if you're in a fertile place and you're planted in bunches and everyone's just like you, or you're put in a pot, how are you going to discover anything? What are you going to find? Right? There's not much there. So for your assignment today, oops, I got a little typo. This would be assignment, but I put an S there. Reread the poem Identity and answer the questions. Think about which you would rather be, a beautiful cared for flower that is one place and potted, or maybe that flower that's in the field that will be picked and admired and loved, or a weed that's not admired. It's not considered beautiful. People don't much care for it, but then you're exposed to the oceans and the mountains and the bizarre. And so think about that because that's part of your writing prompt for Thursday. So I hope you have a good day. Please let me know if you have any questions. Bye.